Hello, my name is Callie Gardner. This is my final or my signature assignment for Module 7 and for my TEL 208 class. To start, we'll start with the topic that I chose. The topic that I decided to go with was agricultural literacy. The reason why I chose this topic is because originally I wanted to be an agricultural education teacher. I decided not to, however, because I felt a little burnt out from agriculture as I had participated in the Future Farmers of America program through high school and was really connected to agriculture my whole life. What is agricultural literacy? Ag literacy is understanding the way that the agricultural industry itself works. It is the who, the what, the why, and the how. The who being who is it benefiting and who is the running of the agricultural industry. So the farmers, the people at the water treatment plants, the grocery store workers are actually also considered agricultural, if you didn't know that already. The what are we doing? We're farming, we're testing water, we're selling groceries, we're creating the consumer chain. That consumer chain is what's called farm to table. So what starts at the farm ends up at the dinner table for the consumer. The why. Well, without farmers, you wouldn't have food. Without the water treatment, you wouldn't have clean water. And without grocery store employees, you wouldn't have the ability to buy your groceries. And of course, the how, the actual mechanics that are happening behind the scenes in order to create the who, what, and the why. How does this connect to teaching? Well, as I mentioned before, I originally wanted to be an agricultural education teacher, but decided that that wasn't quite the path for me. I've always wanted to do education and teach, and I knew that for sure. One, agricultural literacy helps students understand the world around them. Not only does it tell them where their food comes from, but it also teaches them how to get into the agricultural industry if they're so interested. It also opens up the world for exploration. So do they have questions? We'll give them some resources to figure out where and what in the agricultural literacy they want to explore. It also helps their relationships in relation to everything around a student. So what is the relationship between the consumer chain and the student? Where does the student fit in the consumer chain? And where does the student fit in a farm to table? Are they helping to farm? Or do they have a garden in their backyard? Are they helping their mother clean the yard and pull the weeds? Or are they just consuming the food made on their table? Next, we'll go to objectives and goals for this workshop. Goals and objectives. The objectives of this project are to, 1, understand the importance of agriculture in the world, just a basic overview. 2, to understand the relationship between agricultural and lifestyle industry, animals, and food and fibers. Other goals, to provide examples of digital literacy in agriculture. Another goal is to also provide examples of literacy and its importance to agriculture. Next, we go into the background or some general information about the agricultural industry as a whole. So background and general knowledge. The agricultural industry is one that is widely misunderstood and misinformed to the public. Most people are considered not to be literate when it comes to the wide range of the agricultural field. Being the wide range career field that it is, it takes a lot of patience, learning, and teaching to understand the full information about the ag industry. Well, to start off, what is agriculture? Agriculture is defined as the art and science of cultivating the soil, growing crops, raising livestock, and it includes the preparation of plant and animal products for people to use in their distribution to markets. And that's from the National Geographic. So basically, it is the reason why the world runs as it runs. Imports are also considered agricultural industry. You're getting the urban farming from the outside countries brought into our own countries in order to bring foods that we cannot grow properly in our country due to its soil and areas. It's also more expensive in some areas as well. Next, we'll dive into critical literacy. An example of critical literacy that I chose to speak on in this project is the voices of farmers and producers in the agricultural industry and how they're being silenced. There are many underlying messages in farming with the explanation to the general public about why farming is so important and even what exactly farming is defined as. Note, It's not all just big green tractors and plowing fields. Why should we be taking care of our farmers? Exploring mental illness and stress within the industry is extremely important. There are farmers that wake up very early in the morning and they don't have time to do much for themselves. They have a deadline to meet and they have a large population that they are expected to feed. That is a big weight to have on somebody's shoulders. If 1 acre of crops is unfortunately ruined, that could take down those numbers for that population that's supposed to consume that food and be bought from. It is the mentality of, it's not that bad, I can handle more. Unfortunately, that creates more of a problem. You think that you can handle more when really you're at the cusp of your mental state. Adding more will only add more weight to yourself. And that goes not just for farmers, but for everybody in general. And while literacy can mean a number of things for every singular topic, it can also have a bad impact when used incorrectly. And that will take us into our next topic of digital literacy. Digital and media. The connection of this project to digital and media literacy in agriculture. There are both positive and negatives to digital and media literacy within the agricultural industry. Some positives with the digital media literacy in the ag industry is promotion, which means the ability to bring to light which farmers have which crops, as well as which companies work on which water treatment plants, and other places that you can go to provide for your families. Complete facts. You're getting your facts straight from the source. The increase in sales in consumer chain. This has to do with promotion. The more that you are able to use your digital media literacy, the more increase that you can have in selling your crops or selling your water treatments to the consumers. Negatives. Misinformation. A lot of times, people are uninformed when it comes to the livestock industry in specifics to the agricultural industry. Companies like PETA will take photos out of context and say that it's one thing when it really is another. For example, I didn't share it on this presentation due to its very explicit nature, but there is a picture of a female pig lying on a grate. The grate has holes in it in order for feces and other fluids to exit through the grate to hit a pan at the bottom. It makes for easy cleanup. You can spray out the grate pretty easily. And the picture of the female pig next to it also has a little baby pig. And next to the baby pig, there's some feces. The mother pig had just given birth. And what is inferred by the picture and the context given by PETA is that the areas are kept are not clean, they're unkept. And that the birthing situation was very disgusting. But that was, again, another negative taken out of context. More negativity surrounding this also has to do with the open range chickens, free range chickens, and also the cage chickens. There are positives and negatives to both sides of all of the options for the captivity of chickens. But in general, it just is the negativity surrounding the entire industry. Everyone thinks that the farmers are out to get their livestock, or they're out to make sure that they are having the worst experience possible to have a better turnover. This is incorrect. What is the connection to education? Well, you're basically just teaching the general public what is actually factual. Being somebody who was a part of the agricultural industry and actually raised pigs myself, I know that it's hard to keep pigs clean. However, the picture that was given by PETA made it seem like it was just a job easy to clean, but they were just being neglectful. The picture down at the bottom is actually a picture sourced from PETA itself, how animal companions deserve respect, which that is a whole different story, where PETA talks about abuse to animals such as dogs, fish, rabbits, and cats. Those are domestic animals. And livestock are not domestic animals. They are livestock. They are raised for the consumption of others. Our next topic is cultural literacy. Cultural literacy. Traditionally, farmers are blue jean boot wearing hat adorning men. This is outdated now, however. There are still traditional aspects of agriculture that are used and continually developing to meet the ever-increasing demands of society's food and necessities. Along with this, more women every single day are becoming astute to the agricultural industry. A good quote: of the 2.2 million farms across the United States, about 97% are operated by families comprised of individuals, partnerships, and family corporations, which represents around 2% of the entire population. So when you think about it this way, there's 2% of people working to provide for 100% of a country. Next, multimodal. Multimodality. The physical labor that attributes to the kinesthetic mode relates to both agricultural and educational, through the way that you're learning by exercising parts of your body and your brain physically. This can also be applied to tactile. You are consistently feeling around you, feeling for inconsistencies, as well as to learn what exactly it is that you're doing as you go. As for visually, one can literally see the fruits of their labors by harvesting, raising livestock, as well as treating water. You're seeing changes. You're watching what happens. Next, we go to connections and to takeaways. Connections and takeaways. It is extremely important for the audience to understand that agriculture is a topic highly miscommunicated as an industry. What is imperative to know is that without agriculture, you would not have clean water, food, materials such as cotton and silk made for clothing, the dragging of the industry, saying that the livestock facilities are unkept and that the proper care is not being used for these animals, has been taken completely out of context. As for the mental health of the farmers and other people in the agricultural industry, it is important to understand the pressure that is being put on these people, on the farmers and producers of our country, as well as of our entire world. Promoting a good mental health and allowing time for farmers to meet the demands to keep this country running simply starts at understanding the processes of the consumer chain and what also it takes to provide such large amounts of food, water, and tactile fabrics for an ever-growing country and ever-growing world. For our Learn More tab, opportunities to learn more. The first video, as just a general overview, is about farmers and mental health. It is a very good video to watch if you yourself are struggling with mental health, whether you are a farmer or not. It talks about the different kinds of farmers, dairy farmers, crop farmers, and other livestock facilities, and how each impacts the other. More on digital literacy in agriculture. This article talks about digital literacy in agriculture and its importance. It is the how, the what, the where, and the why of digital literacy. Why is it there, and how are we using it? And finally, one of my favorite people in the agricultural industry that has had an extremely large impact is a Temple Grandin TED Talk. Temple Grandin is a very different sort of person, and I don't want to give too much away so you can learn on your own. But she basically talks about how the world needs all kinds of minds, no matter a disability, no matter your race, gender. In general, we just need all kinds of minds in our world. And finally, our resources tab, just as a general overview, here's the resources that I used. And that is the complete project of my Module 7 signature assignment about agricultural literacy. I hope that this project has brought to light some of the agricultural industry and where literacy is important to that industry. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch and listen to this project.